As a beginner in the share market, one of your most difficult problems is choosing which share you want to buy. And this is an immense problem that all beginners face because there are so many shares listed on the JSE. How do you know which company is going to be the most profitable, going to offer you the best opportunity? So in this section we're going to take a look at this problem and discuss an approach that you can take. And in this discussion, one of the things you have to bear in mind is that in the stock market, your most important resource is time, not money. Because how you spend your time will determine how you spend your money. If you use your time badly, if you waste time on long exercises that get you nowhere, and that's very easy to do in the share market, then you will not succeed. So you've got to be economical with your time, the time you have available for analysis. So let's consider the universe of shares. By that I mean the 400 companies that are listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Out of those companies, you have to choose the shares that you're ultimately going to buy. So what we recommend is that you start with a watch list of maybe 20 or 30 shares that you are going to follow on a daily basis. And obviously you will find these shares from reading the financial press and from other sources. You might get tips from friends and so on and so forth. But you will include into this watch list those companies which seem to you to be interesting, those companies which offer a prospect of a good profit. And then of course out of your watch list you're going to select a portfolio of shares that you're actually going to buy. And this portfolio will come from the shares that you've been watching, of course. One of the questions you need to answer is how many shares do you want to have in your portfolio? By that I mean how many different companies? And this is a very important question and one that you should spend a little time thinking about. If you have just one share in your portfolio, you will obviously be enormously exposed to that one share. If something goes wrong with that company, then you may lose a substantial percentage of your available money. If you add a second share, you will obviously reduce your risk significantly. And if you add a third share, you will reduce your risk further, but not as much as you did when you added the second share, and so on. If you add a fourth share, you will reduce your risk again, but not as much as you did when you added the third share. So studies in the United States have shown that by the time you get to 15 shares, the reduction in risk is almost unmeasurable. It's so small. So from that point of view, we recommend that you should hold somewhere between 5 and 8 shares in your portfolio. Remember that for each share that you add to your portfolio, you will be spreading your time more thinly, that valuable resource of time. Because each share that you add has to be followed and watched closely, and you have to spend time on that share. So this is a trade-off between time management and risk. However, let us consider this thing from a different angle. If you're only going to hold 8 shares in your portfolio, then it means that you are looking for the top 2% of opportunities on the JSE. 8 out of 400 shares. So if you don't consider a company to be in the top 2% or a company which has the potential to be in the top 2%, then you should not be following it. You should not be watching it. You should not be wasting your time. So remember one thing, an opportunity doesn't necessarily mean a very high quality share. Quality shares can be expensive. Rubbish can sometimes be cheap. You are trying to find shares when they are cheap and sell them when they are expensive. So all 400 shares are within your scope. Your watch list should be probably 20 or 30 shares, depending on how much time you have available. And you're going to keep a file on each of those companies into which you're going to put all the interesting information that you can find out about that company. You're going to keep its financial statements in there. You're going to keep charts and graphs of its share price and volume. Any articles you can pick up off the internet or from the press. Keep all the information so that you build up a good knowledge of that company. The more you know about it, the less your risk will be. All right, and of course, shares are going to move into the universe and out of the universe as companies are listed and delisted. This goes on all the time on the JSE. Companies get merged, they're the subject of takeovers, they delist for other reasons because it's too expensive to maintain their listing, especially in a recession. And then, of course, there are new companies coming onto the market, initial public offers, and those increase the number of shares that are available to you. So there's a movement on and off the JSE, into and out of your universe of shares. And then, of course, you will change the shares in your watch list. As you learn more about companies, you will add them into your portfolio of shares that you're watching. And as you learn more about them, you may also discard them, regarding them as no longer valuable. And then, of course, you will also change the shares in your portfolio periodically, although we would advise you not to be jumping into and out of shares quickly. You should rather find shares that you're going to buy and hold for a lengthy period of time. So that is the universe of shares, your watch list, and out of your watch list, your portfolio. From here, we're going to go and study the criteria that you are going to apply when deciding which shares should be in your watch list and which shares should be in your portfolio.